Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be discussing why I honestly do feel like I am going through a Spider Man Brand New Day type of moment in my life and a The Wolverine 2013 type of moment in my life, right? And I'm honestly going to explain why I do feel this way, right? Spider Man Brand New Day and Wolverine 13 are essentially about them remembering who they are and them actually really learning to not rely so much on, their friends and family and such, on their team to really feel like they have some sense of purpose in the world. They feel like they have some sense of going forward in the world, right? And about remembering who they really, really were throughout all the chaotic madness, right? The quote unquote chaotic madness and such, right? So I can feel like I can relate to it. I'm going to explain why. So, we have to understand Spider Man Brand New Day was just about that. Spider Man really readjusting to the world, knowing he, in a sense, lost everything. He lost his girlfriend, he lost his best friend because of the memory wave, and not to mention, he also lost Aunt May. He also lost Tony Stark, and he's learning how to readjust now while living under Tony Stark's shadow. And not to mention, he's still dealing with a threat way, way, way out of what he usually deal with and such, right? And doing this all alone, especially since the world doesn't even know who he is and such, right? I'm at that point in my life where I'm almost done with college, right? So I'm at that point in my life, right, where basically I feel like a grand big reset is about to happen, right? That grand big reset is about to happen with Spider-Man in a sense too, because this is the last movie before Doomsday and such, right? So following that metric, right, I feel like these are my own solo journeys and my own standalone adventures and my own really, really trying to remember who I am before the big thing happens. I graduate from college, I have a bunch of fun times, I go through a bunch of fun things during just that. My last and final semester of college, and I really reminisce, think about who I really was, what I really want to do next after I finish college. I'm currently going through some hurdles that currently Spider-Man is going through, right? Right? Currently, I'm unemployed. I lost my job, and I feel like that job had really, really had a big impact on me because I really, really did love the job and such, right? And not to mention, I haven't been seeing my friends in person nearly as much as I should have because during the summer session, people usually decide not to go to school then. And even if people went to school, people are not really going to be hanging out in my local BMCC hangout place and such because just that, it's summertime. People want to either be outside or be inside, you know? I currently still am struggling to find a job. I currently still am struggling to find some kind of, I would say, purpose outside of what I'd usually do. Just like how Spider Man really struggled to find a purpose outside of, his friends and the Avengers and such, right? So I feel like I can really, really relate to that. But we will go into the good and positive things that did happen thus far over the summer. I'm still continuing to become a content creator and such, right? But before I move on, right, I will also keep in mind I also could no longer afford stuff like doing a martial arts class from boxing and taijutsu on a more consistent basis. But I have still, in fact, really retained some skills and some techniques. Not 100%, but I still have retained some skills and techniques from boxing and taijutsu as well. But, it's kind of like how just that Spider Man lost the ability to do a lot of things. But now I'm gonna move on to the Wolverine 13. Wolverine 13 in that sense, why I feel like I can really relate to him in a sense. So what in essence really had happened is that just that Wolverine was felt like a very lonely hermit and such, right? After the situation from X Men Last Stand and such, right? It made him feel really sad, really lonely, but he still did retain a lot of his martial arts and identity and physical arts identity and such, just like I feel like I am. Not to mention, right, I currently have a wrist injury, which makes it really hard to lift weights all the time anymore. I probably can't for a long time lift weights as often or as heavy as I used to and such, right? That really did have a toll on me too. Just like how Wolverine really, really felt like he was really getting down, that he was losing his powers, that he really, really was starting to really lose his adamantium powers. He was really starting to get his adamantium exploited. And just like how he felt like he really was starting to lose his regenerative abilities. So you know how Wolverine did actually go to Japan and such, right? Wolverine did go to Japan, right? Get this. I had these four excellent experiences I feel like I in fact have had thus far. For starters, right? I did go to Florida I saw the Odyssey. I went to the Star Wars world, right? Also went to the Animal Kingdom. Not to mention, I also did see Supergirl. Also did see Spider-Man: Brand New Day, which are the peak things I saw this summer, right? Wolverine really, really did start getting intact with his martial prowess and his martial arts abilities whilst going to Japan, right? As he met new people that really got that spark back in him. As did Spider-Man and such, right? When he finally met his people, right? When he finally met his old friends and such, right? So I feel like that's in a sense really, really gonna happen to me. And I feel like it's currently happening to me this summer. Basically, I feel like my recalamination journey, my self-discovery journey, my self-actualization journey, and my self, my self re-understanding journey and such, that Spider-Man went through back in Brand New Day and what Wolverine went through back in 2013. I hope this all makes sense.